by night. Fellas, thanks for joining me here.
Thanks for having us.
Having you. I'm in your studio recording this. Thanks for having me.
I like that you refer to it as our studio.
Hey, I got to ask why Matt always gets top billing, because alphabetically even. I know I get second mic all the time.
It's a phonetic thing.
Is it?
I think
Does
so.
it roll?
It
off
was
the
more
tongue
like
better?
I met him first,
Yeah,
so I
see how
go
it
with
is.
that. I think because I first met you guys, I DM'd the Nolan Brothers Instagram, and I think you were the one that was
Well,
responding.
you got the anime thing, and I was like, Mark, I think Chris Mannix, like actual Chris Mannix, wants to go to one of our shows.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah. So we side text. I'm like, wait, there's a fucking famous person coming to our shows.
It's happening. It's going down. So I was like, yeah, I guess I could squeeze you in.
I appreciate the wristband for that fight. But I've been to a bunch of your shows so far, and they're awesome. You've got them happening usually at the Royale. You did one at Fenway Park this summer. I want to get into that, but you got to start with like the origin story of boxing promoting, because like I know a lot of club show promoters, like Lou DiBella, famous club show promoter. His origin story is, hey, I was working back at HBO. I became a boxing promoter. I live in New York. I love this town. Easy one to understand. Tom Loeffler out in California, K2 Promotions, managed Triple G. I live in Southern California, doing a lot of club shows there. I haven't met, I'm going to say, any school teachers who get into boxing promoting. So how does it all begin for you guys?
So Mark and I, we were middle of the road amateur boxers, and then eventually gym owners. So we have a great amateur stable, one of the busier ones in New England. And then eventually we get some guys that fight pro. A lot of the precipice for that actually was COVID. We had guys that wanted to stay busy, but mass shut down. So we actually turned them pro in New Hampshire. So having kind of gone through the rigmarole of dealing with professional promoters, really within a year, me and Mark looked at each other and we're like, these guys are like scum.
Yeah, so we're looking. We don't have world prospects. We have great guys at the gym that are like good, like Massachusetts and maybe New England local talent. And when you look at the contracts and the venues and the fights that we're producing, there's like almost every other club show guy in Massachusetts and New England. It's high school gymnasiums. And Matt's like, if there's a basketball hoop in the background, it's not a pro boxing event. Yeah. It's that simple.
And basically the dynamic, it was everything we've done is out of spite, right? So that's
since day one.
So even like the gym that we own, we owned a gym previously with these two business partners, and I remember we dissolved it, and I looked at Mark, I was like, let's never do that again. And then 2 days later we signed a lease, and now I'm like, just opened it out of spite, right? So with these professional promoters, I remember talking to this one guy he was just a dick. And I was like, you know what, dude? I don't think it's that hard. It is, by the way, horribly hard. You can't make any money. But it wasn't hard to do it better than them. And that really was the flashpoint. So that was the jump off, and we identified what is now Club Royale was previously the Roxy, and that's where we grew up watching shows.
So my dad was on the board of directors at some of the boxing clubs throughout the 80s. So like we saw like Johnny Ruiz come up through the ranks, and like when we were kids, we used to go to the Roxy for fights, and the Capiello brothers were putting them on.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to, there was no pro boxing in Boston, and a lot of people are like, they'll say Boston, and it's out in Melrose.
No, it's true. The
Lowell.
last big
It's
fight
like,
was Ricky Hatton back in 2012. Like I remember, I forgot who he fought, but I went to that fight.
It must have been awesome.
It was awful. It was not good. It was not a good show.
Yeah, we were even talking like Boston boxing promotion, not to smear anybody, but like at the time they were only running shows out of Windham, New Hampshire. Like that doesn't seem right. So we saw both a need and kind of a void, and within 1 to 2 shows, we kind of became the guys in Boston.
And with the other club shows in the area, and we say all the time, we're selling fights, not fighters. There's unbelievable talent in New England, but if they're not matched appropriately, then you're paying a ticket to support a guy who's in like local 22 union. You're not actually paying to watch a fight. And like when we put on Streeter versus Farina, I didn't know who was winning that fight. When we put on DePaulus versus Hines, I didn't know who was winning that fight, and they were absolute fucking barn burners.
And these aren't guys that you are gonna see at a Top Rank or a PBC show, but for local stuff, they're great fights.
50-50 fights are really all that, especially on an undercard. That's really all that matters. Sometimes people want to see the name attraction blow somebody out in the main event. That comes with the territory, but those undercard fights, if you can match them 50-50, that's everything. The first show that you did, tell me about it.
So the first show we did, so Mark is, believe it or not, the numbers guy. And I went into that thinking like, okay, so we'll sell a bunch of tickets and then we'll make a bunch of money. And that, believe it or not, did not occur. So we sold a bunch of tickets and then I went, how do we do? And Mark's like, we lost. And if I told you the number, my wife, who probably listens to this podcast, might divorce me because I don't think she's privy to how much we lost.
Yeah, and it's we cornered fighters and we've done paperwork, but it's a little different on the other side. So every commission's different. Massachusetts, for fighters, you are licensed for one single day. So we have to get an EKG within 5 years, an MRI or CT within 5 years, eyes, blood work, a physical, all within 1 year. And it's hard to get a kid from Lynn to give us that. We're flying in people from all over the country, sometimes all over the world. So that was
what was fun
tricky.
about the first show too is that we were like, okay, so we said we want to put on competitive local fights. So we match make brilliantly. We got this kid, Josh Orta and Nick Molina, who did end up fighting in our March card. At weigh-ins an hour before, I get a call from Orta's camp, and they're like, yeah, Orta's not coming. And I was like, well, that's a problem. So when you go into it, again, I was definitely ignorant. I'm still ignorant. I shouldn't be doing this at all. This is insane, you know? But we were like, okay, we'll put on a great, and all of a sudden, that one fight that we really hitching our wagon to is gone, and we have to put the card together, you know, and resort things. Mark and I aren't these big promoters. We're handing back physical wads of cash to Nick Molina fans on the day of the show. So not only am I not making money, I'm physically handing out money that I would have possibly made, you know?
But then another piece is like guys who aren't in our stable. We saw a lot of real, like actual talent in the middle of cards, again, at like sports centers and like high school auditoriums. And we're like, why? Like, these guys deserve a real platform. We see value in them because they're incredibly talented. They saw value in us because we're putting on great shows at great venues with great fights. So we elevated a couple of guys that we knew were great, and people in the know knew they were great. But like the casuals are seeing them like, holy shit, this kid can fight.
And part of it with that first show too, like we were faking it till we made it, right? We would say like, oh, these other shows suck. They're in crappy venues. The fights stink. And I think we sold it enough that everyone was like, oh man, these guys are like putting on good fights at a good venue. And then with the second show, we put together a little bit better card and then started to attract some local talent. And then when we signed a couple guys, I think we fooled everybody, and I think it worked.
Yeah, and there's a few things that played into our favor too. So like we for the first couple shows, we saw what others did and we emulated. So Matt was wearing a suit. We don't wear fucking suits anymore.
That's a crazy thing.
We
to wear
hosted
a suit,
the first show at Fenway Park in 70 years, and Matt and I sat in the front row at one point. I cornered 5 fights, went 5-0 in really competitive fights, by the way. And we ate chicken fingers with the fucking
this
crowd.
Is the best. This girl drops a shoulder, like a very intentional shoulder drop in my back, right? Because I was obstructed. She goes, what are you, a volunteer or something? I go, yeah, something like that. You know what I mean? So even when you make it, you don't make it.
So when you're the first show,
yes,
and you hemorrhage cash, why do you tell yourself, let's do this again? Like,
okay, so at one point, Mark and I invested in NFTs. And I walked into the gym and then walked out of the gym. By the time I walked out of the gym, I lost $120,000.
That's a true story. And on fucking JPEG.
Who would have thought that the JPEG was a scam? But point being is,
who would have thought? Everybody. What are you talking about? NFTs? Come on.
So the idea, you know what it was? So I swear to God, we didn't lose money. We invested in ourselves.
Gotcha.
So no, but all kidding aside, like again, like we have full-time day jobs as teachers. We've gotten very lucky in real estate. We did okay. So we have like a safety net there, and we've never taken out a business loan. So we have like our gym in Waltham, great gym. We won like team of the tournament at the Gloves 2 years ago. 7,000 square feet, never took out a business loan. Yeah.
So for us to spend a couple bucks, and it really is like Matt's saying, if you were an investor, you're out. You're like, I'm fucking good with these guys. But from our standpoint, the first couple shows, we lost kind of couch cushion money as far as I'm concerned when investing in a business.
Let me also say that Mark and I have a gross difference in understanding.
He doesn't even know the fucking numbers. He didn't know we had a business ledger until like 6
Bro,
months ago.
you invested in NFT. What are you doing?
It was cool. It was really
figures.
cool looking.
It was cool.
It was cool looking.
it was-
Yeah, it did
Yeah, I
not
could
do
probably get it too and put it in my bag.
As a matter of fact, you can. I have proof of that.
Yeah.
You know? But yes. So as a matter of I did think going into it that we would be spending money, but the thing is, it was kind of like a self-fulfilling fantasy where we looked at it and we really looked at the landscape and 14 months ago there was no one in Boston, and we went, look, if we're gonna lose X amount of money on these shows, but become the only guys in Boston, it's worth it. And honestly, it has been.
And going back to us being us, and like there's no more suits anymore, and the chicken fingers in the front row. We consistently tell people we are the best fucking promoters in Boston, and people get all pissy. But I'm like, tell me the lie. Like, you guys put on bum ass fights at bum ass venues. We don't. Our fights are fucking awesome. Your fights suck. Like, it is what it is. Like, we're just us.
Mark gets a little bit more salty about it, as you can tell.
Because I don't care. Like, fuck you. Like, put on better fights. But I'll also say I know they're watching too. That's my favorite fucking thing is like the amount of fucking real estate I own in their brains. But we shifted the entire dynamic of boxing in Boston, in Massachusetts, and New England overnight. All the other cards from these other guys, they've gotten better. All the paydays have gotten bigger.
That's rising tides.
All of the B-sides. So that was one of the biggest things they were pissed about. We pay our B-sides legitimate money.
We also treat them like human beings.
We put them up in like the Moxie Hotel, and they're like, holy shit, this is a vacation for me. So promoters were very unhappy that we were paying these guys.
Yeah.
Especially the guys that are coming in to kind of build these up-and-comer records.
So you're not getting rich on it, but are you turning a profit now on some of these shows?
We're heavily invested in ourselves.
So like, I mean, obviously, like, if we just told you we lost a good deal of money on the first couple shows, I can also confidently tell you the last couple shows have been.
What's the secret sauce to it?
That's actually we have an answer.
Can I tell them? And no, I mean.
Yeah, that we have a ledger that has a budget now? That
No, but it's like, so it's a matter of, so we don't want one good fight.
Yeah.
So there has to be at least like 3 fucking dynamite local on local type fights, or at least a local guy versus somebody who has a pulse, who can beat them, where you're like, oh shit, I gotta watch this fight. And then you build out the rest of the card with guys that are good, that are kind of developing. So, but really keeping it to like 2 to 3 spectacular fights. You can't get away with 0. Nobody wants to fucking.
We have
those.
a guy at the gym that acts as a financial advisor with us, and so Mark and I obviously have like a dynamic where he's pragmatic. We always say like the car.
This is such a Boston story, by the way, already. Like I can relate to it. Like, we got a guy at the gym. I got a guy. I got a guy that does my money. I got a guy.
We have a guy that does our money. So it's like, so Mark, he's the analytic guy. He's the the computer guy. He puts numbers in a computer, and it either goes up or down. I just talk to people and make fights. So I kept going, why are we losing so much money? And Mark goes, because you're making the contracts. Like, you're an idiot. And I say that like, half in jest.
Yeah, so like a couple of our early fight cards, we had too many good fights to be profitable.
Too many expensive fights.
No, that's you understand what I'm saying? I mean, like, too many local on local prospect fights, because each one of those is expensive because we pay our guys right. And if you have like 5 fucking main events, on a card
for this market,
it's hard.
I mean, honestly, for any market, right? Like, I mean, we're in this era where these Saudi Arabian cards or the Riyadh season funded cards are mega cards, and that's great. Like, I love watching them start to finish, but it's not a feasible business model. Like, if you have, to what you mentioned earlier, like 1 or 2 really, or at least 1 good fight at the top and a bunch of competitive fights, they don't have to be the most expensive fights out there for people to get their money's worth.
Well, it's so funny. So we got on the next card, we have Steven Davis is 1-7, and Ryan Venable is what?
Abysmal.
Like,
it's like
4.
It's like the
that
worst
fight is going to be fucking awesome.
It's dynamite. They hate each other. They both can box, and they're going to kill each other.
And so Steven Davis is like the best 1-7 I've ever seen. He's really fucking good, and Venable is like 4-20. I can't even remember.
It's really bad.
They're fucking.
It's really bad.
They're great fighters that only fight prospects.
Yeah.
So if you look at it on pay, if you're in Indiana, you're looking at box rec, you're like, this is garbage. If you're in attendance, you're gonna lose your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Great fight.
Yeah, like this card in particular, looking at so with this August card, there's so many factors working against us where we don't have any fighter from our gym represented, which is a good ticket draw. It's in August when everyone's gone. There's another show 20 minutes away on the same exact night. So for all those things, the way we built out the card, we get a guy like Cordell Booker who's coming off a championship, I guess attempt. And then, then you have the main draw with the Vieira and Julian Baptiste, where it's two local guys that are awesome. Then we get a Puerto Rican from Boston and a Mexican from California in a like 168 banger. So, and then at the bottom of the card, we have all these debuts that move a ton of tickets. So we're able to diversify enough. And Mark really has the reins on the budget. He goes, look, you can spend this much money.
I give Matt a number, and I'm like, this is what you can spend outright on the top 3 fights on the card. And I said, the rest of the card, we need guys that are up and coming, 4 or fewer fights. They have to fight somebody who. So if there's a B side who doesn't give a good count of themselves, we won't work with them again. We don't. I don't want a warm body. We need somebody who can actually box, who isn't a real threat to some of these guys. But it's going to go 4 rounds. It's going to go 6 rounds. But he can spend at the top of the card, and those guys have to.
I'm in the room with you. I can hear you.
Yeah, the rest of them have to move some tickets.
But no, I'll text Mark. I'm like, dude, what about this fight? And he's like, how much does it cost? I'm like, Jesus, man, we're just splitting hairs.
Buzzkill over here.
Yeah. So, and he's always right.
But yeah, like the September card. We have the August 16th card, the September card. We already have built out. Like Jaya Brown is fighting for a piece of the WBC. We have our guy Harold Roy against Kevin Nagel. Kevin Nagel's 10-0. Harold's like 5-1-1 for a piece of the WBC. There's another. Chanel Rodriguez.
We definitely have a model.
There's people who hit us up all the time. And we're like, guys, like unless we're putting on shows once every 3 weeks, not even like once every 6 weeks, and once every month and a half, we can't fill these cards fast enough. Everybody wants to. And again, it's not like this like fucking self-congratulating thing, but like we put on good shows and we treat guys great. Another thing we do. We have explicitly no NDA in our contract. It says any party can talk about any part of these contracts. If you're a fighter, so you at home, if you're a fighter, if your promoter has you sign an NDA, he's fucking you over. He's taking your money.
Why would you ever
Why
sign
the fuck
an NDA?
can't you talk about your money?
Boxing is a very unsavory business with a lot of unsavory people. Yeah. Everyone's trying to get over on everybody. What were your welcome to boxing promotion moments early on?
Yeah, so even just now, so I got a text, I could read it cold, but this guy was like, I'm not too happy. I thought we were the A side. I wouldn't have taken that offer otherwise. And I went, you know what, dude? Then fight on another card. Whereas if that had been day one, I have to massage them a little bit. So a lot of it is the big wake up calls. I think is that there is. In New England, there's other promoters, not necessarily Massachusetts. And there was one promoter that, for the Fenway card, tried to block not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different fights for fighters that weren't under contract with them. They were like fringe contracts that were like related. So stuff like that where it's like, it's not competition. I have 2 kids at home. Like, if you're trying to stop fights on my card, and they also try to book a show the exact same day, like when you're going out of your way to just tank my card, you're a dick and you're a bad person, and that's why I got into promoting. Like so those were really the wake up calls.
It's so much. It's to have all those fights happen after being tried. That's satisfying.
And they move the card
to have them have to flex their date. Oh man, that feels so. Again, like Matt, political. That fucking gives me butterflies. That makes me feel so fucking good. But at the other side of the coin. Chris Trietti is a local promoter. Chris Trietti is putting on a show the exact same day as us. Chris is our fucking dude. Matt talks to Chris on the phone.
North Quincy High.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So let's go. Matt talks to Chris on the phone. How often? 5 times a week? 6 times a week? Maybe more?
Yeah.
Chris is the fucking man. Always reaching out, being like, do you need anything?
Even like the Nagel fight. He has the piece of the WBC. Like we're collaborating, we're working, and everyone wins.
He constantly lets guys onto our card.
He's doing some stuff at Encore, isn't he? Or working on it, maybe?
He's working on it.
Yeah, working on it. I think that's a work in progress.
Yeah,
That'd be cool, too.
That'd be great. I'd love to go back
We
to
did,
Encore.
we might have done the last fight at Encore.
Second to last. We were supposed to do another.
We were on one of the Murphy shows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a great segue. The Murphys and Ken Casey, they treated fucking everybody awesome.
The fights were good.
And but when they kind of COVID, I don't know if COVID was kind to them. They stopped really putting on shows.
I think that was what it was.
I strongly presumed that to be the case. They were fucking awesome. If they were still around, I might be nervous. But there's not a whole lot of nice guys left.
Yeah.
So
you're doing shows at the Roxy / the Royale. You're doing shows at Encore, but the Fenway Park show was your big coming out party. Doing a show at Fenway Park, which had not hosted boxing for close to 70 years. Yeah. Tell me how that came about.
So it's funny because this guy's mad at me still, so I'm going to say his name. So Mark and I, we were doing Royale, and we were having success, and it put us in a position where we're like, I don't know, like, what do we do next? We'll do another show at Royale, So we were looking at venues, and a friend of mine, Al Valente, who is the grandson of Rip Valente and associate of Suitcase Sam, like the OG promoters. We had dinner with him at the North End, and he was like, hey, man, have you guys ever thought of Fenway? And I was like, no, that's insane. And he's like, well, they have this concourse area where it's covered. And I was like, all right. So we walked it with him. And Mark and I looked at it, and there were like a lot of hands in the pot at that time, to the point that we were like, I don't know. They came back to us months later and said, we want to do it. And we said, we'll do it, but it has to be just me and Mark.
That's the big thing. And it's no slight on anybody, because and I know Al's mad. I love Al. Al's the fucking man. Al's a great guy.
He calls me all the time to tell me how mad he is.
But I'm like, Al, like, you introduced us to these people, but like, we don't have business partners. It's just us.
Yeah.
And if we're sitting at a table, there can't be a third hand picking up the phone. There can't be a fourth hand picking up the phone. It has to be us.
So we do the walkthrough, and then talk about wake up calls. So you go to Royale, and we said, we're going to put on a box show. They go, okay. And then we did that at Fenway. They're like, okay. Here's the red tape, and it's like you have to pay the union to move the food cart in the middle. You know,
it's like fighting in New York, doing stuff at the Garden.
Oh my god!
So we had to. So like we could say Fenway Park.
No, we could say
Fenway because that's the neighborhood, but we couldn't say Fenway Park. We couldn't advertise it until we sent them the logo. And this isn't disparaging. Matt's gonna give me side eyes, but like one of the fees they charge us. So one of the fees, because I'm like, hey, can you give us an itemized report after? Not super itemized. One thing was miscellaneous. And I go, what's miscellaneous? And they said, one of the fees. And this one killed me. They're like, it was our legal team to trademark the logo. So I'm like, we created the logo. Then you guys trademarked it, so you guys own it. And we had to pay the legal team to do that. So little things. And again, listen, it was an incredibly positive experience. Shout out to Christina Hudak, who was our point person over there.
Yeah. And Brett Miller was great too.
Yep.
But yeah, they basically, part of it was who we were. Like, we went in there, we dressed like this, we talk like this. We're not slimy, almost to a fault sometimes. You know, if we were a little bit more nasty, we probably would have made a couple bucks more. But we go in there and we went, look, we are middle school science teachers, but we're putting on great shows in Boston, and this is the pinnacle. You guys want to do something cool. They did some like bizarre pro wrestling matches in the concourse previously. And it all came together. We put together a killer card. And
one funny aside for that building inspection.
Oh my god!
So they're like, hey, the building inspector's here. I go, I don't know what the fuck you're talking. Like, Fenway, I'm sure is gonna pass code. It's been around a little while. They're like, no, it's for the ring. They're like, anything over 3 feet has to get this permit. And the guy said, we're not gonna sign off on it. Now this is like, again, this is hours before the show. I go, what's the problem? He's no handrails. I go, what? He said, there's no handrails on the stairs. I go, pull up fucking YouTube right now. Show me a single boxing event in the history of the universe. He goes, I don't know what to tell you. If there's over 3 steps and you have 4, there has to be a handrail. He's like, I'm gonna write you up for it. I'm gonna let it go, but it's on you. I said, all right. I'm gonna roll the dice on this one.
And then another dagger, right? So we get to zone.
Oh, I knew all about this.
You have to like bounce a stream to the zone to ensure that there isn't lag or anything for the viewing audience. Our guy on the scene has his Ethernet cable plugged into an Ethernet port. A guy there, some tech guy for Fenway, was like, no, that's like the public, access or something. Unplugs it, plugs into another port. We don't get access. Mm-hmm. The Zone is like, if we can't guarantee that we have a strong stream, we can't stream it.
And we're talking to the Zone, but we're not Madison Square Garden. So like our point person.
I mean, we were at Fenway.
Yeah, Mark. No, listen, I'm just saying, it's not the same fucking thing. So we're shooting, emails to a guy in the UK. So like that. It's not like we could pick up a cell and be like, hey, we're good. We just swapped the Ethernet. Once they tested it, after that, and they got a dead put, they go, that's it.
And not only that, like, we're not substantiated. They're like, okay, we gave you a shot. Yeah. You guys unplugged. What the hell's wrong with you? And I was like, God damn it.
That was a bummer. I remember messaging Joe Hackney over at DAZN. I'm like, man, what happened? It was electric in there. That would have been awesome.
It would have been awesome.
He's like, there's so many different people that are involved in stuff like that. I mean, it was an incredible atmosphere in that building. You had some great fights. I happen to be married to a person that wants to fight on one of your cards some point down the line. Was it financially successful to go to Fenway?
I'm glad you asked. It was, once again, right? All right, so in all seriousness, it was not, right? It couldn't be. But we knew that. So if next year someone goes in there and puts on a show at Fenway Park, they'll be the first person to have ever done it in the past year. The Nolan Brothers were the guys that did it the first time the past 70 years. It opens so many doors for us. We got so many emails that we would have never gotten, and so many opportunities and connections. We told people,
we told people what we were capable of, and then we showed them. And
it's a loss leader in a way.
100%.
I've been using the term loss leader quite a bit, Chris. So we're built on loss leaders, but in all seriousness, like to be middle school science teachers, to be less than a year into promoting at all, to have done a show at Fenway Park, and I also feel like the attendance was very strong, the atmosphere was incredible, the ambiance was killer, and the fights, they definitely they were great.
They were awesome. Again, we were eating chicken fingers watching the fights in the front row.
Yeah.
But it also, like, and again, like, everything just sounds like, oh, we're so fucking awesome. And to some degree, I believe that. But
that's literally the opening line in the video that's tagged on your Instagram feed.
Oh, it is? Yeah. That's right.
That's literally the opening line.
It's funny. I had Rob edit that to take that out.
But where I'm at, like, this isn't, promoting isn't our full-time job. It's our third. So it's school teaching. Our gym, we're there. I mean, we own a gym. There's like 12 staff.
We took the night off tonight
from the gym
to do the podcast.
Our amateur and professional stable is really where it's at. And then third is, and we have a team of 2. So like Matt does the promoting, and listen, that wears multiple hats. So I'm not fucking. But
that's the shot.
I'm your graphic designer. I'm your event coordinator. I'm the one making sure your flights are fucking booked. It's one guy.
Yeah.
And like, not for nothing, like, I'm pretty fucking good at it. Because it's like, it's just got to work hard.
Yeah.
Matt.
So is there another venue on your bucket list?
So there are. I don't know that so here's my concern is if I put them out there, then other scum might try to sneak up and grab them. There are, like, I am going to try to check off everything in Boston, definitely. We are definitely Boston-centric. We will spread out.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple cool
there's really only one more big building in Boston.
No, there's sneaky ones.
Okay.
Yeah, so that we won't say. But for me, I was telling Matt, like, it's like before every show, where, like, this show is going to be bigger than the last. Right after Fenway, I go, spoiler. The next show, guys, we have a show this weekend. I can't wait for it. It's not bigger than Fenway. That if you do Gillette, people have done Gillette, and Gillette's cool. If you do the Garden, people have done the Garden. And I'm not fucking downplaying the Garden. It's a tremendous venue, but it's not the Garden I went to as a kid. You know what I mean? So Fenway is such a unicorn. When we did that, when it comes to venues that I want to do, I got one. Can I fucking say it that I'm fucking dying to do in New Hampshire?
Oh,
that you don't give a shit about?
You'll appreciate this as a local guy. You ready?
Go.
I would fucking kill to do Canopy Lake Park.
I went there so many times.
This is what I'm saying.
So there's like an amphitheater in the back.
I tell Matt all the time.
Aerosmith played at.
He goes, "You're going from fucking Fenway Park to Canopy." I would fucking kill to put on a show.
Did you ever see
at Canopy Lake Park?
That's not a bad idea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You ever see Spinal Tap when it's like a puppet show and Spinal Tap?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I just imagine like like they have Mini Kiss plays there, and it's like Mini Kiss and Nolan Brothers boxing, you know?
But so think about, like, you could sell tickets to families up there. Let's go up for a day and have ourselves a time.
It sells itself.
Oh, man. How many?
Canopy Lake Park, if you're listening right now.
God, we all went there twice a year. Twice a
I
year my
always
entire
say,
existence.
if you want to feel really smart and really wealthy, go to Canopy Lake Park.
But yeah, so that's on my bucket list. And Matt, I don't know. I mean, it'll have to be Nolan Brother boxing by that point.
I think
Matt
so.
lets me
I think
do
you can
it,
talk him into it. I think you might be able to.
There's a guy, Aaron Bernardo, who did like a show on a battleship in Fall River, which is cool. I would like to do something more unique. We looked at some. There's a couple venues that I think are cool that are in the area that are outside the box.
But you've got the ability to do that too, because you're like 3,000, 4,000 tickets would be a huge win, right? Like for that, like
huge win.
It's not like, they see these big promoters going from MSG to something smaller. They're taking a huge hit with their purses of their fighters. You can afford to take those chances.
Our casual spot is 1,500 people, and exactly, you nailed it. 3,000 to 4,000 is when we put on like those premiere shows.
Yeah, and I think we are going to look for like a mega show every year. We did Fenway, and honestly, I would go back to Fenway. I love Fenway. I don't know financially, and also I don't think Fenway was as over the moon with the results as I think they anticipated higher numbers. I anticipated better marketing. That's all I'm saying. But the idea to go back there would be cool. I would, but if we don't, I do want to do something big once a year.
Yeah, so like they reported their numbers to us, and we made them a ton of money.
I thought the crowd was good, and it was also raining during the day.
Oh my God! Thank God it wasn't on the field.
They have one pay sheet, and it says Nolan Bros boxing and Shakira. So like I think that's, you know what I mean. So I think
I get it.
that is really where they were at. Where it's like, oh no, you're not pulling as much as like Tim McGraw and like in his prime. You know what I mean?
Here comes the old Tom Petty shows that
That's
go
it,
through
so
there.
That's really what it was. Like we did really well for them, if you were asking me. But I guess if you're like John Henry,
another thing is like a small time guy that I think you'll appreciate is that these places like Fenway, they pay out like quarterly. Well, as middle school science teachers that invested $250,000 into this show, we went, hey, by the way, like this ramen that we've been slamming for the past 3 weeks is delicious. Are we ever going to get paid? And they're like, oh no, like, industry standard is. I was like, industry standard for Madonna, well, she can float it. You know what I mean? So we have been paid. So we have less debt, which is great.
I'm still stuck on Canopy Lake Park. I'd go.
This is what I'm saying.
I'd go, bro. I think you got to give that a second thought.
I'm telling you,
I got to give that.
If we do it, I'll fly
daytime show.
I'll fly in Sergio.
Yes,
Sergio would go.
We'll get him some juice.
We'll go. No, Portofino's.
Do they serve booze at Canopy Lake Park? Then there you go.
The first place I ever drank, we were camp counselors at Camp Aquasit, not to brag.
In Watertown,
and we went to Portofino's,
and they serve anybody.
And I went up to the bar, and I went,
like 15 years old.
I went, can I have a beer? And they said, what type? And I was like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that to work. And I just got hammered.
Which is also a reason we've been sober for like almost. I'm almost 7 years sober because we were slamming beers at Portofino's at 15.
That'll probably set a bad standard early on.
Yes.
You've been in a short while, but you're starting to accrue. I don't know if you call it a stable yet, but are you getting guys now that are reaching out to you saying, "Hey, I want you to be my promoter"?
It's funny. It's to some degree almost too many, so we have to be a little choosy with who we pick because we're smaller. You know what I mean?
So one thing you said early on to me, which stuck with me, and something I adopted was you were like, I like that you have this one guy and you're like kind of putting your and then we talked further and we talked a little bit about TKO and that, and I thought, well, I better start scooping up some guys. So one strength of ours is putting together these local versus local matchups. In order to do that, we have to entice them through signings, and we definitely have, I think, a pretty solid stable right now, like 15 or so people. But we have had people reach out, and actually, even in the body of it, they're like, we saw what you did at Fenway,
exactly.
And a lot of them are like European-based fighters. Some of them may be coming off a big fight off a loss that need to rebound and don't necessarily have a big promotion like Top Rank or PBC backing them. So we do have a lot of people reaching out.
I mean, you guys did an outstanding job with Tommy O'Toole, building him up to, what is he, 14, 15-0 right now, something to that effect, fighting him as the main event on these Boston shows, fighting him as the main event at Fenway Park. You guys really put him on the map. Like, he works hard. Mark's done a great job, Mark DeLuca, training him. But you guys giving him these platforms every few months, keeping him active, that's how he gets noticed. I mean, I'm talking to people at Matchroom, people at Top Rank, managers, and he was starting to pop on their radar. Like, all right, who is this kid?
Yeah.
I keep getting asked, like, is he any good? Is he any good? You've seen him. Is he any good?
The thing with Tommy is we killed it together because Tommy jumped on with us in our second show.
So he gave us street cred immediately. We're like, he was a real prospect and he signed with us.
So with when we met Tommy was in the middle of these local cards where we see this kid. He's a 6'3" southpaw from Ireland that can fight. That's a multi-time national champion. He sees us and goes, these guys are putting on real shows and they'll build me up. They'll put me in the spotlight. They'll pay for the right opponents. They'll give me the right opponents.
In an Irish town.
You can't beat it. So but by teaming up together when we did, he was 7-0 fighting with the lights on, right? In the middle of a card. We had one event and our main event canceled. So what we were able to do together in the year that we were together, I think he headlined 5 or 6 cards. Every one of them, his stock went up, exponentially. He's in the top 50 in box rec, which take what you will from that. But I think not only did we build up his platform and put him out there, but also I think we gave him the right fights to improve and prepare himself for that next big jump.
Yeah, and we said it like right off the first one before the 2 names that we were looking to sign, or the 2 names I was looking to sign off the jump was Tommy O'Toole and Anthony Vieira. And Anthony Vieira is the other kid where
2 very different guys.
What do you mean?
two very
So
different.
yeah, one has a lot more tattoos on his face.
but
Optically,
but
guys.
Vieira had like, when it comes to how he was being handled,
Yeah.
We saw him just like we saw Tommy, like, this is a tremendous talent that's fighting in the middle of cards, that's fighting in venues that are beneath him.
He also had the intangibles that so Tommy's the 6'3" southpaw from Galway that speaks Irish, by the way. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yes, he does, which is insane. And then we get a kid like Anthony Vieira, who is a juggernaut as an amateur, multi-time, national champion, who is from a tough neighborhood with face tattoos. So when you identify guys like that, both undefeated, both in the middle of the cards, both really not reaching their potential because of the promoters behind them, we go, man, this might be an opportunity for us to all win. And I feel like it has, especially with Tommy.
And he showed a lot of improvement as a fighter, I think, because of that activity. I remember the first fight I saw him was the first card maybe I went to of yours, and he was fighting some guy that you brought in, like, was 10 pounds overweight. I forgot who he.
Yeah, I remember there was you mentioned it in a clip.
Yeah,
and you were like, "Oh, Tommy O'Toole, Nolan Brothers," and then at the end you were like, "Terrible fight," and I clipped that part, and I was like, "Chris Mannix loves us, dude." And I put it out there, but you go, absolutely abysmal.
Not Tommy's
fight.
fault. That guy did not come.
It wasn't Rioas. Who was it?
He was overweight. You had to change the weight. That I forgot who it was.
So he rolls up. He comes from Argentina. He's laying on our ring.
I'm gonna pull it. I'm not on my phone. Right? I have to pull
yeah.
it. It's gonna kill me.
And I go, buddy, are you on weight? And he just gives me a thumbs up. And he was like 17 pounds over. We got him down
Javier Maciel.
Thank you.
Who had fought like guys. I think he had fought some real guys.
So I got him down like 4 or 5 pounds. And then he just ran around the ring to stay away from Tommy over 10
That's
rounds.
all it was. That was bad. That felt bad for Tommy in that one. You never know with guys like that. Some guys just come in. But I watched that fight, and I just remember seeing Tommy, and it was a little rudimentary, a little raw. I kind of left that left hand out there a lot. But every fight that I watched of him, he got better and better, snappier with the jab, better combinations. I mean, he was.
Yeah,
he
took out local boogeyman Perkins, and James Perkins is a very tough kid. He walks through a lot of stuff, and Tommy was able to get rid of him relatively early.
Yeah, that's like, with that fight, it was kind of like, okay, we do have a guy he's bigger than the guys here. Because Perkins is as good as any guy here.
In this area, yeah.
But then, stepping him up with a guy like Vaughn Alexander was like a perfect move, where Vaughn will give him the rounds. He's been in there with everybody. You
got his attention a couple times.
Yeah, gassed a couple right hands
where Tommy had to kind of shake it off.
Yeah.
So
you bring Vaughn Alexander in. I got to get you to tell this story. You bring Vaughn in. Vaughn was a late replacement. You had to fly him in. Good for him for, being in shape, ready to go. Well, that's kind of what Vaughn is.
He also didn't fight for free, Chris.
Just
to be clear,
I get it.
Short notice fights, those offers we get that are really good? Well, he got one too. So Vaughn Alexander, very intimidating looking gentleman. Yeah, full grill,
Matt showed up. Matt has one solid like gold tooth.
I feel like we
And
connected.
so Matt's like,
I pulled
hey,
it
dude,
back.
like we're part of the same.
And he kind of
group.
gave me like a half smile. So he was like, yo, come here, guys, right? And it was very much like we've had the come here, in
Yeah,
the
like,
past.
we
I was like,
need
this
to
isn't
talk.
this
right
isn't
now.
awesome,
Yeah.
right? So he's like, look, man, my last fight out, I won that shit. But I fought on their home turf and the judges screwed me. I want you to reassure me right now
I want your word.
that nothing like that's going to happen, that if it's close, they're not going to fuck me. And I looked at him and I laughed. I go, no. And he was like, what? I go, you're a black guy fighting Thomas O'Toole
At Fenway Park.
Fenway Park. I go, you better kill this
I
fucking
go, if it's
Yeah.
anyway, I go, if it's even, if you blow him out 10 rounds, I said, you're losing a split. And he started laughing. I go, we're not paying these guys off, but I go, you're in his backyard. There's no way. And he was very appreciative that we were straight with him. We're like, no, I absolutely cannot assure you that you're going to get a fair shake against Thomas O'Toole at Fenway Park.
And everyone's
in
going,
Boston.
ole, ole,
Yeah.
ole, ole. It's all green lights and everything. And he's like, give me a fair shake. I'm like, you think I can sway these guys? I was
And
like,
we'll have,
you
like,
know?
I know Vaughn loved working with us. I loved working with Vaughn. We'll definitely have him on a card in the future. But
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just a very funny story.
Yeah,
Oh,
stuff
man.
like that is the
Yeah.
best.
So what for you guys?
Mhm.
Like, what is the end game here? Like, do you want to just keep building out this? Do you,
The problem was like I had a goal, and we said we're like we want to be the biggest in Boston, and again if you go down box rec, realistically, other than high school gymnasiums, and I'm not saying that for effect, I mean actual high school gymnasiums or like function halls.
I've been to some of them. Yeah.
we
Stop
are
bragging.
we
I mean,
we're the,
Quincy Armory, I hang out East
so-
of the time. It was
so-
Ryan Kiljeski was fighting there.
Yeah,
I think he's coming back. Actually, he told me. I saw Ryan Kiljeski, former featherweight contender,
Yes.
out of Quincy. I think he's a statey now, or he's a transit cop. So I see when I take the Amtrak to New York all the time. I see him there
That's
all the
so
time.
funny.
Last time I saw him, he's like, "Hey man, I'm gonna get back into shape and come back." I'm like, "Great man, let me know."
So
Let me
yeah,
know
so
when you're back.
I wanted to take over Boston, and realistically we have, and that's not to say there aren't other there are other promoters in the area, but when it comes to Boston
Chris,
proper,
if you
it's
got
us.
your promoter's license today, you'd be the second best
Yeah,
promoter in Boston.
that's what it is. So
just for context.
So that was, and now we have to move the goalpost. So we are doing stuff more in New England, but for me, like we're not going to be top ranked PBC match. That's not where we want to be. We want to be a proper platform for real prospects from New England to fight real fights in New England, and that's kind of where we're at now, and we just want to continue to expand that. Instead of doing 6 fights in our first year, maybe we'll bump it to 8 fights. Maybe you'll see us in Connecticut. Maybe you'll see us in Rhode Island. Maybe you'll see us in New Hampshire. You're not going to see us in Vermont.
No.
I'll give you that. But,
No, that's disrespectful. I have a house up in Vermont. That's rude.
yeah, so there's at least
So
3 people living there.
disrespectful.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I got a good gym for you to fights out of there.
in Vermont.
Yes. No, I don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's no way.
I went. So a buddy of mine he bought a house up there, and I bought like 10 years ago. It's near Mount Snow in southern Vermont. And my buddy went to the Chamber of Commerce and was like, "Hey, is there a gym here like to work out at?" The guy goes, "Do you have a hill behind your house? Go run it."
Yeah.
So it's not.
Well, one of our bucket list things is like I do want to try to corner as many states as possible.
Yeah.
I'm probably up to like 15 across amateur and pro
yeah.
fights where I've worked corners. Vermont doesn't host literally any. You
No,
can't
they
get
don't. They
but not
don't.
even an amateur show.
Yeah.
And the New England LBC, there's just nothing up there.
As far as like, next steps or bigger things, we definitely want to be increasingly active. We want to put on more shows. We have, not only the stable, but guys that we don't have under contract are constantly, asking to work with us. And then additionally, we do want to look into co-promoting. We've talked to some of the bigger promoters about bringing big shows back to Boston. And
talk about the Fenway again. These major and they're not big. They're global. These are big. They reached out to Matt and they're like, "We saw Fenway. We are interested."
Because that's where they want to do shows,
exactly.
unique venues. Like they're probably not going to get invested in the fight at the Roxy or
Yeah,
at the Royale.
and they're looking for that again, that 4,000 to 5,000, and then they'll bring in the top talent, but we'll fill in the back end of the card with really, really good local fights, local talent who move tickets. People want to see these.
And if you put 5,000, like I was having this conversation with somebody in Texas after Bam Rodriguez put like 8,000 in the Star in Frisco. Like there's not a lot of guys in boxing, period,
that can do that.
that can sell 8,000 to 10,000 tickets by themselves.
that was a question. Fenway was like, can can you see yourself, creating a card where you put 22,000 people in here? And I was like, no. Like, what are you talking
literally
about?
Under no circumstances.
Like,
no way.
Who's going to sell 22,000 tickets, man? Like, that is such a high bar, high standard. Like, the Savannah Bananas or whatever the hell those guys are, they sell 22,000 tickets.
Don't pretend like you don't know who they are.
So I just didn't want to misspeak. But
you better bring Katie Taylor to Boston.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Even she didn't. She was the co-main of the Demetrius Andrade show back in 2018.
Exactly. Was that in the Garden?
That was in the Garden. Yeah, okay, yeah.
But
first ever DAZN show.
But did they sell?
No.
That's what I mean.
I mean, she sold more than, and I love Demetrius, but she sold more than Demetrius did because she brought out some of the Irish. But like dropping her in an 18 to 20,000 seat venue is a huge challenge. You got to build towards that.
Correct. Yeah. And I think they did a great job, obviously, with that Madison Square Garden card, making the all-female card.
Mm-hmm.
There was, there's some sort of, catch to it. And also not for nothing at that point, having a third fight with Serrano, obviously was a draw. But yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, it would have to be like a Jake Paul type mega fight, which I don't necessarily want to do.
You'd have to get not a boxer, but someone who transcends that, who's like cult of personality, some big thing.
So just continue to expand in New England potentially is the next step to all
basically
this.
not putting any brakes on the train that's rolling right now. Yeah. Because again, like I truly had no desire to do anything other than Boston and Boston adjacent. And there's a lot of people and venues that are reaching out, and a lot of fighters from these other regions who are like, look, I'm not naming anything. Matt will just kick me under the table if I do.
I do quite a bit. Did you catch any of those?
I promise that I won't. But there's a lot of people that are in these other regions that are like, we want you to sign us, and two, we need guys like you in our area because either the venues are trash or sometimes the venues are good and the contracts are really, really, really insulting.
Do you think you'll both be school teachers for the next 20 years?
So no, but that's only because I have a deep-seated hatred for public education. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. If my principal's listening, that's a joke.
Actual joke.
So this is my 21st year teaching public school, and my thing is, and I tell my principal, everyone I work with knows this, that like in a perfect world, I'll only do boxing. Like, and the analogy I always give is that I remember being like 6th grade health class, and they said the average male mind thinks about sex like every 11 seconds, right? I don't. I just think about fights, right? I go to bed, I think about fights. I go to Dunkin' Donuts, I hope the guy in front of me doesn't hold the door so I can start a fucking fight. Like, all I love is fights and boxing in Boston. So the idea that if I can pursue that, make it viable, and just have a healthy living, and the other thing beyond that, that takes me away from teaching eventually, is I always, the analogy I give, and I mean it, it's not for effect, is that really all I'm doing is trying to make a more interesting eulogy, or obituary for that matter. So like my oldest grandparent was 61 years old when they died. Like we the Nolans like to leave good looking corpses. You know what I mean? We get in and get out.
Yep.
So I as a dad, I have 2 kids at home and I'm a school teacher. Who can say that? I don't know, like 400 million people. To be the best and biggest promoters in Boston, to work with guys like we worked with Abraham fucking Nova. He's fighting in Riyadh. Like we did that in a year. Like if we can be more ingrained with, like we always say, the zeitgeist of Boston. Like Mark and I have gone places and have been
recognized.
Not like you. One time I went to Madison Square Garden Theater and everyone was like, "Hey, you want a picture?" And I kept joking. I was like, "With me?"
Yeah, and they're like, "No, with Chris Mann." So I always say,
go on my Twitter feed though. It's worse. It's the opposite way.
We're like D- Boston celebrities. So like if you take, I say we're exactly 3 steps below any of the Phantom Gourmet crew. So like that's how famous we are.
We're below Ernie Bach Jr.
You take an Andelman with 3 steps down, and that's us. You know what I mean? You bump into me in a Market Basket with the Nolan Bros shirt on. We might be shaking hands, taking a photo. That's about it.
There is an enticement to promoting that it gives us that, kind of adrenaline shot, that reason to wake up and pursue greatness, where we're teaching. I love teaching. I'm so grateful for it. I've made so many connections. It's a steady job that gives me nights, weekends, and summers off. But in an ideal world, when I can leave teaching, I will.
And Matt's at 21 years. I'm at 19 years. I'm in Needham. He's in Framingham. Different schools. I guess I'll leave it at that. But,
that's very nice.
But I told my kids in October last year, I'm like, this is the best group I've ever had. This is the best fucking kids I've ever had in 19 years. I do love teaching. I have an incredibly supportive admin staff. My principal, her nephews fight. She's
juggernauts.
Dorchester,
just monsters.
She's the best boss I ever had in my life. She's spectacular. I've gone through a couple principals. My science curriculum coordinator has come out to my fights. A lot of the teachers come out. We've gotten, and Matt found his support later.
Sure.
But Matt's gotten a lot of support from his teacher. They like to see us succeed. So it's hard to leave that aspect of it. We're also pretty good at fucking teaching. It's funny because I talk about not having this ego thing, but I'm like, I'm one of the first in the door. I'm up at 5 a.m. I get to my school when the doors open at 6:30. And we're fucking good at it. We have the gift of gab. We are relatable. They can tell that we like being there, and they end up learning just happenstance. If they enjoy the environment, they're more available for learning. So it sucks to have to leave that, but like Matt said, it's when we wake up every day and rub the sleep out of our eyes, it's we think boxing, and it's we're able to juggle it right now. And I said I don't necessarily want to be the graphic designer for the promotion in 2 years. I don't necessarily want to be the guy who's balancing the books in 8 months. So I think it's gonna, in the next 1 year for you, 3 years for me. I think I'm a step behind him because I said he promotes and I do everything
for public school.
So he promotes and I do everything else. My everything else.
That seems, by the way,
let me explain, dickhead.
Oversimplification.
Fucking idiot, you dumb shit. My everything else, hours-wise, takes up much fewer hours than what he has to do as a promoter. So if he leaves in a year, he's pulling 70% of the promotional weight while I'm pulling 30% at that point. And I can balance that a little easier than he'd be able to balance.
I also take a weird bit of enjoyment to
your full-time job is my hobby.
Yeah, man. Where it's when we went into this, again, I told you half in jest, where it's we're kind of driven by revenge, but these same promoters that didn't treat us well as coaches, as managers, they didn't treat my fighters well. The venues were bad. To come out there and be like, hey man, this is just something I decided to do on a Saturday. I kind of like that too. And plus, being 20 years in, if I retire tomorrow, I think I get 8%. The number 8, the single digit 8% for my pension. So I might have to punch the clock a little bit longer.
And we talk about how it's only been a year. Again, Matt and I have been. So I got my first USA Boxing coach's passbook in 2004. So it's not that's 21 years of being a coach, let alone when we were fighting and shit. So we put in hours, and it's funny, a lot of these other guys saw us as the new kids at the table. I want to be I've worked hundreds of corners while you haven't been in a boxing gym in 30 years.
That's the thing that's really helped us too as promoters. That it's uncommon to see. Mark and I will be, we go to the Hyannis in Cape Cod and wipe blood off a kid's face. Talking 14 years old.
But talking about kids who want to sign with us, the ones who want to, every single open fighter who has 60 fights, they're I don't want to fight for free anymore. You guys got any spots? So we're
and then I rub my hands like Mr. Burns together, and I was like, do I? But no, it's true. Mark and I are really, invested and integral in the USA Boxing New England scene. And again, we work hundreds of corners a year, and that definitely has been a great pipeline as well.
So you're trying to grow all this, and you're doing it at a very interesting time in boxing for a couple of reasons. And I want to ask you about both. And the first is the arrival of TKO onto the scene, which is currently some nebulous property that nobody's entirely sure exactly how this league's going to operate, but they are out there signing guys, as you guys well know. How has the arrival of TKO and the guys that they're targeting impacted your business, if at all?
Yeah, so Mark and I have talked, and at first we had different stances, but I kind of gravitate more towards Mark. When you read about it, it is it seems like it's terrifying, and they're gonna abduct our fighters and stuff. But I think we bring a lot of value to a promotion, whatever it is, by the way, because I still don't know.
Yeah.
Like TKO, in the sense that we have a lot of the unsigned talent that have some higher ceilings that can go on.
TKO's not signing the guy who's 2-0 at club shows.
Sure.
And they also can't sign Canelo or Bud, the guys that are already signed. So they need like really good club promoters, and that's our sweet spot. Is like building guys like Tommy, building guys like Jaye, like Anthony Vieira. Those guys are the types of guys they want to bring to that level.
When I first heard about it, I was like, it's not great. But in a lot of ways, like if they are dishing out signing bonuses to promoters and stuff, it actually could bring some value. Overall, the way that they're structuring it, or the way I'm perceiving how it will be structured, if it does mirror that of the UFC, I'm not a huge fan of that all-encompassing, promotion ranking system. But much like you, I'm also not a huge fan of sanctioning bodies, because as a middle school science teacher, when I'm paying sanctioning bodies for belts that have 12 names, they're not cheap, and it's a bit of a racket. So it's a double-edged sword in that regard. It's kind of cool that they can get away from the sanctioning bodies. It also is a little bit scary that it might be, adopting that UFC style.
And say they adopt the UFC style. So say it's for all intents and purposes not a literal monopoly, but a figurative monopoly. They're gonna absorb a bunch of leagues. I mean that's what I think they'll do. So the same way that like UFC purchased Pride or WEC, and they pull in all these things, I think you're gonna have guys that see Turkey Al-Ashish money. You might see a Matchroom sell. You might see a PBC sell. You might see a Golden Boy sell. And I think if they do this monopoly style single league type thing, you're gonna see a lot of them be absorbed, and then you'll see like the Bellator or the PFL. You'll see one or two of them sticking around. That's kind of a cut below. But for guys like us, we're the Grapefruit League. We're like
not only that,
step down.
I think we're like kind of an anomaly in the sense that, again, if we look at the local market, right? Say there's 6 promoters here. I know what they pay. I know what we pay. I also know what I've been offered through TKO for certain fights.
Yeah.
And not only is it not that indifferent, a lot of guys on our cards, no NDA, you can ask
them, yeah,
are making literally more money already, which I think is a concern, because I know when it first came out, they had that whole pay structure thing that was leaked, and the numbers I heard were comparable to that from people within TKO
to start.
Yeah. But now it's like, the start date's been pushed. Like, I don't know who, like the type of guys they're signing that I've seen, they're not really blowing me away. At least the ones I'm intimately familiar with.
They're guys that we would fly in to fight our Jayes, our Vieiras. They're good guys, but they're gatekeepers.
It's a lot of those guys.
At that point.
Yeah.
It's a lot of those guys to start. And for what I've written about this, like they're trying to just populate each weight class with as many guys as they can, so they can go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And the number one guy won't be the number one guy really, but they're hoping as the years progress, and if they're in this for the long haul, that they'll be able to do it. Along those same lines is the changes to the Ali Act and how which is still not happening yet. It's a bill right now. It's going to be talked about in the House, I guess, the next couple of months, and then we'll see what happens after that. A lot of people have come to me and said, what does this mean for local promoters? What does this mean for the guys doing the club shows? I'll put that to you. What does this mean, or what could this mean?
So I'll tell you. So I think it depends on the region in the United States, because when they're proposing these revisions, they have to sell it as a positive thing. So they go, look, we have a minimum amount fighters need to make per round. And if you hear that and you know nothing about boxing, you go, that is a good thing. Do you know what the minimum dollar amount is?
$100 a round?
$150 a round.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
If you fight for $150 a round,
I'll sign you right now.
You know what I mean? It's like,
give them my business card.
That is such a cartoonishly low number.
Yeah.
We know. I mean, even the local promotions that I say that we're doing a substantially better job than, they pay way more than that. They another sale point. They go, we have a minimum insurance requirement of
$25,000, I think.
Yeah.
The Mass State Athletic Commission requires me to have, and this is where Matt is not a figures guy, and
don't
I am.
care.
He doesn't have to care. I have to carry per fight a $100,000. It's called a death and dismemberment insurance, and that just sounds so morbid. What I'm required to do right now without this is 4 times greater than what the minimum proposal is. So I don't know if you're in like Podunk fucking North Dakota, this might be a huge windfall for some of these fighters. For us, it has such a minimal impact, except for when you're talking about, what do they call the leagues? They had a name for like what these...
UBOs.
Yeah, UBOs. Like if anything, I don't know. What do you think about UBOs at the local level, Matt? So you don't have to fucking kick me under the table. Like, you can say whatever.
No,
the fuck
it's a
you
matter
want.
of here's my concern is that I think you and I are talking where a lot of that stuff is the window dressing stuff, the attention grabbers
for the press release.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm not as concerned as a promoter, and this seems like such a white knight BS thing to say, but my concern more is if the manipulation of the and the changing of the Ali Act, when you see something like a UFC structure, so you get a guy like John Jones, who is the verbiage is undisputed champion of the world. Okay, in that time that he was the undisputed champion,
meaning there's no dispute who could possibly be the champion.
Tom Aspinall defended an interim title twice. So and obviously it's to avoid John Jones fighting Aspinall. He fights the corpse of Stipe Miocic, who's 1,000 years old and just barely holding it together. When a sanctioning body, promotion rather, oversees the ranking system, the manipulation is brutal. And then from there, the fighter pay. At the top of our card, so we got we have Anthony Vieira and Julian Baptiste, two local guys. The amount of money they're making is going to be higher than the amount of money that the debut guys in the UFC are making with good records fighting against, a 50-50 fight. If you see that in boxing, in TKO, I really think it just hurts the fighters. I do.
Yeah. Who knows if it's even going to pan out, if it's even going to pass. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people that are resistant to it for a lot of the reasons that we've articulated there. It's just, I don't think long term it's good for the fighters.
I just don't. And I mean, think of the first of all, you can manipulate it as it is. And it has
it's so hard. Yeah, it's hard to enforce the Ali Act to begin with.
I'd be more for it overall if sanctioning bodies weren't just a bunch of scumbags.
What do you mean?
Who are the argument for fighter pay is a good one.
Yeah.
The argument for having one belt, I can't stand in front of sanctioning bodies. I can't defend a sanctioning body when they're manipulating their rankings based on who goes to their stupid boondoggle of a convention like Orlando or Puerto Rico, wherever the hell they're holding.
Correct.
Like that's a problem.
And here's my other thing with the UFC model, and it stems from the Fertitta brothers and their association with the buffets in Vegas. If you have a single organization, you have the NFL, you have the NBA, you have you need collective bargaining. I'm not. Whether you're pro-union or anti-union, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about your opinion at all, so don't come at me with anything. I don't care. But if you're going to be a single body, you need some sort of collective bargaining, because otherwise you're never. They're going to get trounced. They're just going to get fucking stomped the entire time. So that's my take. If they do something like a UBO and allow it, they need to really push for some sort of collective bargaining.
Two things I should have done in lieu of promoting. Number one, create a sanctioning body, because what a racket.
I thought about doing that once. I was going to create the SIBF.
Oh my God, that'd be brilliant.
I was going to write a whole story about how easy it was to create a sanctioning body and collect money from people.
Yep.
Like it's just a way to get rich.
And now we should just get together and create a New England UBO, because I mean that's really the next step.
That's I thought Matt would kick me out of the. Matt's like, dude, just fucking make a UBO. We'll make the New England UBO.
I'm not doing that. It's too much work. But
it's a lot of paperwork.
A lot of paperwork.
Right now it is, but also like we'll have if we do. It's just spoiler. If we do a UBO, it'll be the best fucking UBO.
Well, think about it. I mean, like MVP is going to do a UBO with all their women. Like that's why they're signing every woman's boxer on the planet.
But it's funny, and I look at MVP's model, and I actually like it a little bit better than what I'm seeing with some of. Here's what MVP's doing well. MVP is putting on so many prospect shows, which I don't know that like what TKO plans on doing. It seems like they're kind of skipping that step, scooping up all the middle of guys, and then don't know what to do with them. Whereas MVP's doing these shows all over the United States. They do a bunch of in Florida and stuff, where they're putting a decent little headliner and building up prospects, which it seems like would be a more sustainable model. What the hell do I know?
No, I agree with that. I mean, and that's the tried and true method.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember working with main events for many years for NBC Sports Network. This is what I was talking to you about, finding one guy and just building him up, then find the next guy. They did that with Sergey Kovalev, Curtis Stevens, Gabe Rosado, all fought on small shows. I mean, the amount of trips I made to the Sands Casino in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, straight out of New York City when I was living there, like 90 minutes in a car down there. They just did these small shows and built up stars that way. There's a science to it. I think you guys are doing a a great job with. He did a great job with Tommy. And who's the guys that we should be looking out for that you think have some potential?
It's J.A. Brown. So J.A. Brown, the thing with J.A., you got to...
Vieira, but anyway, those are the two guys.
But with J.A., so J.A. brings a pillow to the weigh-ins with his opponent's face. He has a catchphrase where it says, if he act up, and then everyone screams, he's going to stop him, right? So he's got a catchphrase. He has an entourage. I got it. This is a great text from the Mass State Athletic Commission. They go, do you know J.A. Brown is having a family reunion in the locker room right now at Fenway? He comes out. Nova has the mascot, right? Well, J.A. is a gorilla, which
No. So we're at weigh-ins, and so I have to. I have to get for the commission. I have to get a full list of all the corners. Make sure they're licensed. I said, is this everybody? And it's him and Nova, and they're laughing. He says, yeah. He goes, and the gorilla. I go, and it was right around like the internet, the one gorilla versus 100 people. I go, J.A., I got to be straight with you. I can't tell sometimes when you're fucking with me or not. He goes, I got a guy in a gorilla suit. I go, fine. I go, fuck it. I don't care. At this point, I was like, I go, fine. We're doing the fucking gorilla outfit then.
He really is flashy. He talks shit, but he's brilliant with it. TCL, which I'm not a fan of. He went in there and he like dominated. He was like 15-2 this season.
3 weight classes.
He fought at 47, 54, and 60. His willingness to fight is great. He only has 2 losses. They were majority decision losses, and since then he's come to Boston. He's under Mark DeLuca again, who's the best guy to be under.
And he was cool to work with because we were told about a bunch of people reached out. They're like, you gotta see this J.A. kid, and again we were in our infancy. We didn't want to sign up every single guy. So we go, let's put him on a card first. We go, like, I want to make sure, like, we're a good fit for him. He's a good fit for us. And the first show, we go, fuck. And then we go, like, you want to work together again? He's like, yeah, definitely. And we did the second one. And after the second one, we're like, this kid's fucking.
He fought for us 3 times without us signing.
Without us signing him, yeah. And then, but he's, it was always a conversation, and he was straight with it. He's like, I want to sign with you guys. We're like, we want to sign you.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put this on you and your listeners. If Adrian Broner decides to actually come out of retirement, J.A. Brown will fight him at any weight class.
I'm not for nothing, no joke, because like Matt, this J.A. Brown fucking smashes.
Mark, Nostradamus over here.
Coming out of retirement, Adrian Broner.
Mark, of course he's gonna kill him. That's why I want the fight.
Yeah,
that's why as a promoter I want that fight.
So. I
he's at 47. Is that what you said?
He's fighting at 54, but really he's gonna contend at 47.
Got it.
Yeah, if he's taking fights at 54 that make sense. For instance, he's fighting. You ready for this? The interim U.S. silver WBC 154 belt.
How much that cost you?
You know what? It wasn't free. But what that does, Chris, if he has a good enough showing, you know what that will do is put him in the WBC rankings.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. Funny how that works, huh? So we're taking the fight at 54 because that's where the belt's available. The guy, Josniel Castro, who I believe is signed to TKO, is the current in recess. I don't know
in recess.
The
champion in recess.
Yeah,
champion in
thanks,
recess.
because he has like an Achilles. Again, so it's just it's expensive. But point being is, I believe I'm very confident in his next fight. I know he'll win. It will put him in the WBC rankings and then hopefully be a platform.
And this fight's in September, you're saying?
That's correct.
Yeah, Gabriel Escalante.
Yeah, Where's that fight happening?
It's happening at the old Club Lido in Revere.
Again, that's like
the Oceanside.
It's all venues we went to as kids. Like,
I remember going to the Revere ones. I went to some of them. Yeah.
I did tiptoe around that quite a bit during this interview. You'll hear that I allude to a September show.
Matt gets so mad that I really like that fucking venue.
We keep going. We're the only promotion in Boston.
I know,
Mark goes, what about Revere? I'm like,
yeah.
What about Revere, dude?
I'm like, the locker rooms are huge. They're really nice.
There's a reason for that,
It's one level.
Plus, you can just go to Santapio's on the way in.
Hell,
you can get some pizza.
That's Matt's joint.
My father took me there every Monday for 20 years, it felt like.
Great Santapio. I got 2 for you. So I'm dating my wife at the time. She's facing me, and I'm facing kind of like the kitchen area. The waiter takes our 1 slice left. It falls face down on the floor. He fires it right back on the plate and gives us a to-go box, which I loved. And then another one, this lady, the guy goes, hey, you guys ready to order? And the lady goes, I'm still kind of looking. He goes, lady, we got fucking pizza and sausage. What else
That's
do you
all
want?
they got.
And I was
That's
like, that was such a
Well, lamb tips, right?
They do
Like
have
the lamb tips.
but
Yeah,
I'm telling you, word for word, he goes, lady, we got fucking pizza and sausage.
no
What else do you want?
TVs, nothing going on there.
No.
My father was I told you guys know this, was a Boston area cop.
Yep.
And we used to go in through the kitchen all the
Oh,
time.
yes.
Whenever there was a line, go in through the kitchen. He knew the cooks in the back to give him a table
That's
in
my
the back.
place. I love St.
Pepperoni
Tacos.
pizza with lamb tips
Yeah, you can't
every
beat it.
single
Mac-
time. So
Mac-
that's the upside of Revere. It's on the way.
There you
Just
go.
pop in there.
Well, I'll
You know,
also
you've
say,
been a great advocate for Canopy Lake Park
I'm
and Revere
also,
today.
I'm,
I don't know what happened to me here.
I'm a North Shore beef guy. That's like my fucking thing. So if you're talking, once you start going to Revere, also not for nothing, this is another one that my wife and I for years spent our wedding
true.
anniversary at Kelly's Roast Beef, the original one on
I'm going to
Revere
give you
Beach.
one last one that I shouldn't be airing out, but my old man,
Oh my god!
like as recently as like 5 years ago, would swim in Revere Beach. And he
Oh,
goes,
that's
dude,
disgusting.
no one's there. I go, no
kidding.
shit,
Yeah.
Dad. It's repulsive. You
That's
know?
like I live now in the Quincy area.
Yeah.
And Wollaston Beach, I ain't swimming in that.
I'm not
There's like
swimming in
2
that.
places in Massachusetts you can swim,
That's
like
it.
Nantasket and like Hull. Like it's
That's funny.
other than that, you ain't swimming anywhere near there.
True.
Well, you guys doing great work, man. Your shows are amazing. You're developing prospects. You're giving guys opportunities. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these fight cards going forward, including a Canopy Lake Park show.
I'm telling you, it's happening.
I will
now.
help you with the site survey for that one. I will go up there, make it spring or summer, but I'll go up there.
Oh, yeah.
at that
We're
time.
not going to Canopy Lake in the winter, dude.
Fellas, I appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you so
This
much.
has been an absolute pleasure, Chris. Thank you, man.
Thank you.